Is everybody ready? David and Tralisha, are you guys ready? No? Sure. Oh, okay. Okay, everybody, we're going to get started. Good afternoon. Today is January 27th, and it is 4:05. As a quorum of the board is in attendance, I'd like to call to order the meeting of the Central Health Board of Managers. I believe that Manager Jones was going to participate online. Do we have him? Pardon? He's logged in? Okay, great. Can you hear us, Manager Jones?
Yes, I can.
Okay. All right. So our first order of business is public communication. Do we have any public communication today? No? Okay. We will now proceed to the regular agenda. Managers, we're going to take item number 2 first, because I think we can do that in public and get that handled right away. The item number 2 is discuss and take appropriate action on the fiscal year 2025 budget for community care health centers. I think Jeff Canodal will be presenting.
Good evening, Jeff Canodal, Central Health Chief Financial Officer, joined by Dr. Nick Yagoda, the interim CEO of Community Care. Last meeting, we presented the fiscal year 25 budget to the Central Health Budget Finance Committee meeting. We asked if there were any questions. Please feel free to forward those through our process. We would get those answered. We did not receive any questions. The Community Care fiscal year 25 budget has been approved by the Community Care Board. We're bringing it forward tonight to request approval from the Central Health Board of Managers. So that's the extent of our presentation. If there are any questions, I'll feel free to try to fill them, but Dr. Yagoda is here in the event there are any specific questions. Thank you.
Okay, let me see if we have any questions. Do you want to say anything, Manager Masata? Oops, sorry.
Actually, at the wrong time.
Could I just clarify something? Oh, I'm
Wait,
sorry.
let her go first.
I was going to let her finish chewing.
Go ahead.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm sorry, Jeff, my ears were temporarily shut down. Did you say you had not received any questions regarding the component dealing with community care or just with our 2025 budget?
We have not received any questions on the fiscal year 25 community care budget presentation that we
That's
did.
fine. Thank you.
Okay. Manager Masata?
Yes. Well, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thanks for your presence. I have a couple questions for you. In anticipation of a lot of changes that are happening in our landscape, are you do you have any financial concerns with your budget currently? Anything that we should be aware of as a board and as a community to help and support the viability of community care?
Thanks for the question. The budget is a budget that we established at the beginning of the fiscal year, projecting over the course of what we anticipate will happen. And since then, there's been some substantial changes in the environment that have made it difficult to achieve the budget as initially described. And so, as we will do on a quarterly basis when we come for updates, we will be working with our partners at Central Health and with other payer partners to figure out how best we can ensure that the budget does come. But I will be clear that we are not on the same track that we thought we were at the beginning of the fiscal year.
Understood, and I know that you're receiving some federal grants or funding, if there's any that has been frozen on your end, because I know, for instance, from an academic institution, unfortunately, some of my colleagues have lost their funding and their funding has been frozen. So just wanted to know, anticipate if there's anything of that
Thanks for that question.
magnitude.
We don't have any, no funding has been frozen from the federal government, from the state government, and we don't anticipate any, but we also recognize this is a very dynamic environment, so we're staying very closely apprised with our partners at the national level, at the state level, to ensure that we advocate as best we can for sustained funding.
Thank you, and I understand that you will be, if there's anything that comes in the next, every day something changes, that you keep us apprised if there needs to be any changes on our behalf. But I just want to ensure that our community is well served and CUC is viable. And again, thank you for all your work and the service that you do for our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Manager.
Other questions? We'll start around this side. Okay, Manager May, do you have any questions?
Just real brief, this is your first quarterly budget report to us, right, from this annual year?
This is the annual budget, which was passed by our board at the in October. So we have just completed the first quarter, yes.
Yes, so this is oh, I'm so sorry. Sorry to keep doing that, my apologies. So just so that I'm clear, the information that you're putting forth, it is, I understand it's based on the budget that you put together, it's based on the assumptions prior to the time that you put it together. For purposes of what we're seeing today, does this constitute your first quarterly report to us, or no? No.
This is just the budget.
Got it.
The original budget.
Okay, so here's my statement. It's just going to be more of a statement. When you hit that second quarter, and I don't know what the process is for reporting, but when you hit that second quarter, will you bring us a year to date, at least as of at that time, whether it's 2 months behind from the time you report it? But the point that I'm trying to get is, I want us to always have a good handle on where the dollars are, because obviously you've got some assumptions in here that are predicated on certain activities. And I think it's going to be really important for us to stay on top of how those particular areas, line items where you're expecting or you thought a certain payer mix was going to occur that didn't occur, for us to be well informed so that we're not surprised by any dynamic changes. That's my point.
Yeah, thank you. And from my perspective, we're going to try to get on a cadence where community care, as Dr. Yagoda mentioned, a quarterly update, but we're going to also try to get in a cadence where we're doing monthly financial updates, just like we do for Central Health.
Okay.
And so I think you'll see some of those metrics as we look at things like payer mix, and we'll be able to provide those much more periodically and try to respond to trends and or questions.
That would be good. Thank you.
Can we go ahead?
Yeah, it just
Manager Jones, do you have anything?
Yes, bear with me. You may not be able to hear me too well. Implicit in the budget that was presented, are we anticipating the same level of funding and support for the Black Men's Health Clinic in light of some of the other challenges we see out in our environment? Do you any major changes there?
I don't foresee any changes to the funding as we budgeted it for the Black Men's Health Clinic.
Okay then, thanks very much, I appreciate it.
Okay, Manager McMahon?
And I'll just address the questions to both of y'all, because I know that each of you might carry sort of different levels of understanding depending upon the profundity of what's required. So my understanding, and this is just by means of inertia from what I last heard, was that Central Health, and we use the word contribution, but we use it loosely, given, of course, that a lot of this is fee-for-service. But the Central Health contribution to the budget or the request at the time was something around 74 million. That was what I, again, recall by means of inertia. Then, I know that there was perhaps a shortfall discussion shortly after that. And I also know that so that shortfall, if in my mind, was hovering around, the number was 10 in my mind. Can we get a sense of what maybe the Central Health contribution looks like? I do see the itemized, and I may not have read this as well as I should, but if you could, is there a bottom line for the fiscal year that we can know?
So, I'm sorry, just to clarify the question, how much has Central Health contributed thus far?
No. For fiscal year, what's the anticipated Central Health contribution for FY?
Yeah, let me take that. So based on the fiscal year 2025 budget, I'm looking at page 2, which talks about the community care budget presentation. It does talk about a number of fiscal year 25 amounts, the what's called claims payments, care management. That totals up to a little over $82 million. So there's and I know the contractual amount has increased significantly from fiscal year 24 into 25. And you remember our contractual amount was $74.6 million, I believe.
Yeah.
For 25. And then there's also some additional HR, human resources, and information technology costs that Central Health picked up in fiscal year 25 that are savings on the community care side, and then some evaluation and funding on the Central Health side of EPIC, which is our EHR, electronic health record system. So when you look at page 2, it's a little bit over $82 million. There are some other fixed cost contributions that are made prior to fiscal year 25 that probably total up around $100 million or so.
Okay, so just to get it right, the contracted amount is 74.x as we heard, and then beyond that, Central Health is extending shared services and maybe some administrative infrastructural costs to help offset on the P&L.
So for example, Central Health pays for all human resources costs.
Sure.
Except there's a executive position, I think, in community care.
That makes sense to me.
HR. So there's a lot of overall cost absorption on the Central Health side that, and kind of the same on the information technology side also.
Super, and y'all should feel free to just thumbs up or thumbs down or add as much detail as you wish to this next question, but community care, y'all have been pretty good about warning us that recertification on Medicaid, has been a problem. And there did seem to be sort of a precipitous, more recent implication to that when we talked about what the implications of that meant as far as a funding shortfall or revenue shortfall might be. Do you feel that our systems for forecasting have learned to be able to calibrate better such that that shortfall might be able to be anticipated earlier? Because I know that we were concerned about recertification earlier. I also know that we're not perfect, and we're not going to be able to 1 year in advance, even if we see recertification as a problem, we're not going to be able to call exactly what the shortfall is going to be. But did we learn what we needed to learn in this fiscal year to be able to maybe reincorporate and get better, perhaps, forecasting?
Getting better, we always are using the best available information we have, and that's both local and at the national level. The erosion of that percentage makeup for the payer mix for Medicaid has continued to be resistant to
Yeah.
very innovative processes that both community care and central health have done together. So we are trying our best to stay as apprised as we can be of what that real projection looks like. So I would say we always have opportunity to learn, and we're continuing to do so and incorporate any of those learnings to future predictions.
Yeah, thanks, Nick. And if I could add just a little bit to it. First of all, no one's perfect on any of this, so just
And
wanna make sure
yeah,
everyone
continuous
understands
improvement
that.
is the order of the day. That's all we're talking about.
And so there are a number of things that, you can look at trends and expectations. There are some things that we just don't know that we don't know. So
Yeah.
for example, one of my risk areas is around 340B pricing in pharmacy. Like, we don't know what the pharmaceutical companies are gonna do, how certain lawsuits, come to play on rebates, et cetera, et cetera. So there's a lot of risk that it's out there. You can always do a best case, worst case, but there's something that we don't know today that's gonna happen in fiscal year '25. We hope it's not substantial, but it could be. And if so, we'll bring it to you as soon as we understand what the issue is and what the magnitude of it is.
Thank y'all.
Did you have another manager?
Yeah, mine is really quick. If you could, because you said you were planning on reporting every quarter, or a cadence, you mentioned, Jeff, something for
Yeah, I
us to
think
use?
the thinking
The
is
financials.
operationally was gonna be about every 3 to 4 months, but that financially, we would get in the same cadence that we report central health financials, which would be a monthly basis where we're providing financial reports of that particular, it might lag a month or two. We don't want to get out ahead of the community care board.
Understood.
So we'll provide it, but it will be on a monthly basis. That's my intent.
And can that be included in, on the Budget and Finance Committee?
Yes.
Along with the
Yes.
other budgets, other financials?
Yes,
Okay,
absolutely.
just
That
wanted-
was,
okay.
that was the plan, was to kind of,
Okay, just to streamline everything.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Dr. Brinson, do you have questions?
Yes, so I noticed that you cut the grant other revenue funds in half this year as your budget. Are you thinking that within the budget from, compared to like last year? So can you tell me, do you think that will be, that is, are there any other concerns you might have in that department?
Largely, the reduction in the grant category had to do with the expiration of the ARPA funds that we had received as a result of the COVID pandemic. So we have no intention of reducing any of that funding in the future, but that just was an expiration of a previously established grant.
Manager Martin?
Hey there. You made a mention about, and this is more just a personal question really, I'm just curious, since revenue is generated through patient visits and y'all are struggling to find people, what strategy are y'all doing to find more providers? It's such a struggle in this community period.
It is, and so specifically, what are we doing to recruit and
Yeah.
retain providers themselves? We are rethinking how we've done it historically to try to ensure that this holds. We've had periods of high retention and great recruitment and some dips that go along the way. We are probably in one of the larger vacancy statuses that we've had for a while. And so with terrific collaboration from our HR partners, we have developed new strategies that we can intervene with immediately, and then some larger approaches that are going to require greater coordination for us as a whole enterprise. And those we we will bring to share whatever those the final products are for that, but involving incentivizing work in meaningful ways that really drive the mission of our organizations and meaning to the care teams themselves.
Yeah. It's an incredible challenge, so thank you.
Manager Valadez?
Mine's very basically general. Thank you, Dr. Nick, for being here. Personally, as a board member for Central Health, I like it when we're provided information, and on a timely basis, not so that we get something 5 minutes before the meeting and then we're asked to take action. That is not been the case with community care. I'm just making that as a general statement. And as a result, what I would hope we could do is work with your boards, if we're going to have, to see maybe we could have, with your board rather, if we could have a quarterly meeting with the community care board
Okay.
as our board, so we can talk together about strategies and possible changes that may need to be made on our side or on your side, and how we can support each other in that. Also, I understand that the difficulty in trying to maintain medical provider contracts when there may be, I guess, the benefits or the salaries may not be as competitive based on, I guess, whatever the trends may be, the labor trends here. So we'd love to see how we can work together with you on that. And I just wanted to give you, again, overall kudos for the great job that community care continues to do and has done for our patients. But because of what the political atmosphere, environment that we're entering, I'm hearing from a lot of communities that they are not planning to go to clinics or doctors or even maintain some of their OBGYN appointments because they're afraid of being targeted. So they would be a good opportunity for us to work together or in tandem to try and alleviate those fears in our community and for our patients and our providers. So,
Thank you. Oh, do you?
Just to say thank you for those comments, and we share those concerns, and are doing everything to make our clinic spaces welcoming, and a place for building good health, building strong futures.
then one last thing with respect to the pharmaceuticals. I know that there were some drugs. Congress just did some made some changes in the costs. And they were looking at possibly additional changes for additional drugs that they were looking at. I was wondering whether or not we have anybody in the community care side or even in the central health side that is analyzing what are the most you required or most prescribed drugs, and what are our greatest needs, so that maybe we can try and do something with that, especially with our elected officials at Congress. Thank you.
Yeah, maybe that's information we can provide later. I'm looking at the time, everyone. We have other things we need to get to. Do I have go ahead.
I'll make a motion.
Okay.
I move that we adopt the Community Care's fiscal year 2025 budget.
Second from Manager Valadez. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, it's unanimous. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, managers, I'm going to move us now into closed session. Let me read item number 1 first. Item number 1, deliberation and possible action on the appointment, employment, evaluation, reassignment, duties, discipline, or dismissal of one or more Central Health employees, including the CEO of Central Texas Community Health Centers, DBA Community Care. So let's see. Yes, we're going to go into closed session. I would ask everyone to leave for closed session, not Dr. Lee, but for or the attorneys, but everyone else, I would ask them to leave for this conversation. Government Code Section 551.071, consultation with attorney, and Texas Government Code Section 551.074, personnel matters. Sorry, I always forget that. Time is 4:28 on January 27th. Thank you.
Can you hear us now, Manager Jones?
We can hear you. Okay, and you can hear us, right? Okay, all right, we're gonna proceed now. Let's let him have a chance to get out. Okay, everyone, as I was mentioning, we have our meeting today till 6 o'clock. I think we should be able to complete what we need to do today by 6 o'clock. So let's try to keep that in mind as we discuss. We have two things to address related to this item. One of them relates to conversations we've been having with the CUC board that specifically relate to processes. And it's an extension of the mediation that we were involved in, so that's one of them. The second item is just to update the board on the status of the negotiations with Dr. Fournier. So those are the two areas that we need to address today. I'm going to start with the first one because that one also involves some discussion and some action that I'd like to propose today. So I'm going to start with that one, and then we can. I don't think it'll take a long time, and then we'll turn to the last item for y'all to report. So I'm going to tell you what my understanding is, and then ask our attorneys. Okay. I'm going to call us back into open session. Are we ready? Okay, everybody, let's see. Are you ready? Yeah. Okay. We are now going into open session. It is January 27th, and the time is 6:46, and we are entering open session. Go ahead.
I have a motion I'd like to make.
Okay.
Mic is on. I'd like to move that the board this may be an amendment to an existing resolution that we've passed, and I'll defer to county attorneys on that. But the general framing is that the board delegate and authorize to the Central Health CEO the authority to negotiate with Community Care matters related to the employment of the CUC CEO, including renegotiation of co-applicant agreement and/or the selection of a new CEO, given that any final settlement terms be ratified by this board. And so that's A. B, that this board maintain a monthly standing item to discuss matters as deliberated in open session. And C, that if any items that might require board consultation before that monthly period be brought to the chair and the vice chair by the CEO in that time.
Can you read it again? I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not.
I want to see a copy of that before
I'm not following
Yeah,
it.
because it's real wordy.
it is wordy.
It's a lot.
So yeah, I'll give it another go and let's see if we can
Maybe
distill
you
it.
can read it in parts, and then let us ask questions about the parts.
Sure. That the board authorize the Central Health CEO to discuss and negotiate matters with the CUC board related to the employment of the CUC CEO, including renegotiation of the co-applicant agreement and/or selection of a new CEO, given A, that this board have the final ratification of any settlement terms, B, that this board maintains a monthly standing item to discuss the ongoing negotiations, and C, that if any items were to present themselves that require board involvement before the monthly meeting where we have that standing item, that the CEO bring those items to discussion with the chair and the vice chair.
Point of clarification. What do you mean by the last one? Any items? Can you give us an example?
I'm sorry, you have to have a second before you discuss.
Oh, is there a second?
Second?
Second. Okay.
Could you repeat that question?
I'm not understanding what you mean by the last one about if any items.
Meaning that if any items that if there are any items that the CEO has concerns about even proposing such terms to bring back to this board, that the CEO consult with the chair and the vice chair, who can either offer consultation and guidance around those particular items and/or call a special called meeting so that this board becomes involved.
Okay, and those are items identified by the CEO. If he doesn't identify items, then it's not a consultation.
It would theoretically not be a consultation. However, I would suggest that the backstop to that be that invariably that since any settlement terms have to be ratified by this body, that this body will hear about those items.
Okay, so we wouldn't hear about it as part of the negotiation.
We would hear about it at each monthly period, which would comprise the discussion of any settlement terms.
Okay, so you said that this was an amendment?
I'm deferring to the county attorney in as much as how to best frame this, whether it's replace an amendment that replaces, or how we might want to move forward.
Clarification.
Okay, clarification?
Yes. Are you, your first sentence, your first part of it, you said he would have the authority to discuss and negotiate the HRSA agreement with CUC?
The co-applicant agreement was
Well,
part of
that's
it.
the
It was-
HRSA agreement.
Yes,
The
it was.
HRSA co-applicant agreement.
Yes.
That we're gonna be talking about this on Saturday.
Uh-huh.
So you want us to vote on this today when we haven't had a full discussion like we're gonna have on Saturday?
No, not necessarily. I mean, I
Well,
think,
yes.
well, the point is, no, to your, I think it's a
But
really
I
good point.
think
So
my-
if I can
my-
address
Wait,
you, if I
no,
can answer your
hold
question.
on, one at a time. Go ahead and
Okay,
finish
sure.
it.
You're the maker of the motion, and I'm asking the question.
Very good.
I said, so you as a maker are proposing that we vote on something that we as a board have not yet had the opportunity to discuss, not only amongst ourselves, have that robust discussion, but nor have we had the opportunity to talk about that with Iman. I think we were being told that Iman and the lawyers were gonna come
That's
back and
right.
talk to us about this.
That's right.
So, first of all, that's
that a
just on
question
that
or-
one.
or-
But I
or-
just want clarification.
Sure.
Okay, because I'm trying to understand your reasoning for suggesting this before we have a meeting on Saturday.
Sure. I heard that part.
Okay, what's your logic?
Okay, so the logic is.
Before I go to the next one.
The logic is that clearly no action would occur. It would simply be, well, first of all, the probability that action would occur between now and Saturday, in as much as negotiating substantial settlement terms between now and then, I would assess a reasonably low probability. But secondly, the ratification of such terms couldn't occur until our next board meeting anyway, thus basically putting us in a place where we will have been informed.
Wednesday.
Where we will have been informed. So, assuming that within 2 days, we're not ratifying a new set of radical settlement terms, or I think to your point, we may want to qualify that, saying that, until after that this would take effect, after this resolution would
Well,
take
then,
effect after
would
Saturday.
Would you accept holding off on this until after we've had our board retreat to have that full discussion? On not because we're gonna talk about not only the co-applicant agreement and how we address that with community care and Dr. Lee following the strategies that he is gonna propose, I'm assuming, but that we as a board have the ability to talk about how do we propose to talk to or to implement a tiered approach to addressing absorption of an FQHC, a standalone FQHC.
Without necessarily getting into those details, I could say that I think that those discussions could still be accommodated with this
I'm sorry, I
resolution.
have to ask a question. Are we
I'm
in
so-
open?
We're in open.
Yes.
That's fine. I mean, y'all are having an open conversation. It's okay. So let me ask a question then. Why not wait? Because
That was my.
because I understand what you're saying, but you're asking us to decide on whether we want to delegate before we even know what we're delegating. Because we haven't had a conversation about the co-applicant agreement that everybody's on the same page for. What if this board changes their mind? Then they're in a position to change an existing, there's no time, as you said, there's no time, there's no urgency. Let's just wait and vote it after we have that
Well,
conversation.
no, I didn't suggest that there's no urgency. I think based on what we heard from council, based
There's no
from what we heard from council, I just wanted to really proceed with kind of the guidance that we've heard from council. And then beyond that, again, the most logical backstop is that, no terms are accepted until accepted, and they're accepted and ratified by this board, so.
But it's not the terms that's the issue. What the question is the delegation. If I'm hearing,
It's the issue of a delegation based on unknowns. Okay, unknowns and that we still haven't seen, okay? That we still haven't seen or received information from our attorneys that are considered the HRSA co-applicant experts from Iman. And also I'd like to, if we're gonna have this discussion, then I'd like to see our attorneys back up here so we can have that discussion, but I
think-
hate it in the interest of not repeating ourselves within 2 days, because maybe we could have this discussion
I
on
have a-
Wednesday, but
I
I'd
have
rather
a-
have it after the retreat.
So as I've suggested,
I'd rather postpone it.
as I've suggested, this could take effect afterward, but it looks like the chair has a comment, and I think Dr. Martin has been trying to say something
Yeah,
for a
because
while.
I do
Yeah,
have a comment.
wait, hang on just a second, guys.
Okay.
If you'll let me,
Please,
okay.
of course.
Thank you. I think, I understand what you're saying, Cynthia, but I think that this is simply a motion to charge Dr. Lee with the authority. We have to vote on anything that's brought back to us. That we review HRSA and the preamp, that's great, but all this motion is to delegate Dr. Lee, to charge him with the authority to negotiate for us, to speak as one voice for us. And that's how I'm reading it, with the backstop that we, as the board in the democratic process, get to vote on what is brought to us. That we need to understand HRSA and the co-applicant agreement for sure, but I think that this motion to me is just simply to cut to the chase, delegate authority, which is what this whole discussion has sort of been about.
And I would like to, I would like to ask that we table this, because until we have the conversation, and I would move to table because I think this board may very well decide to vote that, but we're talking about a matter of six days or something like that. So I think it would be appropriate, in the interest of allowing this board the opportunity to understand what they're delegating. So I would ask that there'll be opportunities to vote this, when we're all together as a board. And I would just, okay, I'm going to make a motion to table it. Do we have a second?
We're still in.
We have a second. I get a motion to table. If a motion to table takes precedence over a motion, do I have a second? You said you wanted a motion to table. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a second on the motion to table.
Does that supersede?
It supersedes the motion.
It's higher on the table.
Okay.
It supersedes the motion. You can make another one after
Supersedes
that.
the motion on the table.
Yes, okay, so,
Can I? Oh, sorry.
so the discussion now, is only on the motion to table. And actually, I'm not sure, David's about to tell us, the motion to table, I think, might be non-debatable, but I couldn't.
You're right, it's just above
It's
the line.
not debatable.
It's just above the line.
It's not debatable.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
All right,
Yes, you have to
so-
vote right now.
okay. So I'm going to take a vote on the motion to table.
17.
Can I,
4.
can,
Vote on that motion first.
yeah,
To vote now.
it's not debatable. Okay, that means we don't discuss it, right?
Right.
Okay. All in favor of tabling, now, and let me ask one other question. If we table it, that means we can bring it back up.
Yes.
At any time.
Yeah, so we could bring it back up at a later board meeting, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so we have a full board meeting, we have a couple of them scheduled. So, yeah, Wednesday and Saturday. Okay, all in.
Could I ask a question to
Sure.
the county attorney? So so if I don't feel that I've been able to complete the discussion on the first motion, that's irrelevant at this point, because
Just
now
because-
I no longer have any ability to
the way
continue that
Robert's-
conversation. So
Yep.
that it's now kind of at
Making
the,
that motion.
it's the will of the chair at this
Yep.
point, right? Okay, thank you.
Well, no.
It's not the will of the
Robert's-
chair.
It's Robert's rules.
We have to
It's
vote it.
laid out in Robert's rules.
Oh, no, it's still, you're right, I'm sorry. I just thought because you were suggesting that motion, that it was the will.
No, Manager Valadez
She
made
had-
the
Right,
motion.
right, but before you knew that she did that, you were suggesting the motion, if I was correct.
I think,
Right, but that makes sense. I think we're getting to the same place, to be clear.
We may be on the same wavelength.
It's fair. I see what you're saying.
Wait, let's have a full discussion is all I'm saying.
I think the votes will just get us where we need to go.
all right. All in favor of tabling, wait, let me make sure that, Shannon, did you hear what the motion is in front of us?
Yes, I did.
Okay. All right, all in favor of tabling the motion, please raise your hands, I guess. Okay, that's 6. The motion's tabled. Okay. Do you want to make a motion?
Yes. Can I make a motion?
Yes, you may make a motion. What'd you say? I'm sorry, what?
Is anybody for or?
Record the rest of the vote.
Okay,
Who's against?
I'm sorry, y'all. Who's against the tabling? Okay, we have three folks against the tabling, okay? All right. Did you want to make a motion?
Yes. My motion is I move that the Central Health delegates the authority to negotiate COC matters in compliance with current co-applicant agreement to the CEO with consultations from chair and vice chair, and to bring back to the board any agreements for final approval. In the interim, there should be full transparency and communication in every board meeting until the matter is resolved, and matters that pertain to renegotiations should have full board discussion, input, and legal HRSA consultations. That is my motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Manager Valadez. Okay, now we have discussion. Dr. Martin.
Without clarification on what consultation is, I can't vote for that, but, because I think we just puts it back at square one.
Sure. So this motion delegates the authority to our CEO to preside over any negotiations if he felt if he felt that there's a need for any consultation with the chair and vice chair, he should. But it will be more of a consultation matter with the chair and vice chair. The CEO will lead the meetings. So that is what I mean by consultation. So this, I think someone said there's only one king. So this allows one king to rule the house. Huh? One. And if he feels that he wants to consult, it's up to him, authority. If he wants to consult, he can consult. The chair or vice chair will be there.
Okay, Manager May? Oh, okay. Elisa, then Shannon, then Amit, did you have your hand up? Okay, go ahead.
Shannon first.
Okay, Shannon, do you want to go first?
Yes, I'm a little concerned about that we're creeping down a road where we're taking the authority from the CEO. I agree that he or she or they should be in consultation with us frequently. And that's why we have executive committee meetings and with our other activities. I would imagine he is in communication with you all most every day, at least once a week. So when we start prescribing that he must do these things, then the question is, does he have any flexibility to do anything else within the framework of these type of negotiations without having to have everything done with the VP and the chair, vice chair and chair, and ultimately back to the board? That's the only concern. I understand the rationale, but I'm just make sure we don't go down the slippery slope.
Okay, Elisa? Manager May?
I'm going to speak against this motion, and with all due respect. And the reason I'm going to speak against it is because if we have tabled the recent motion based on the fact that we didn't feel we were ready to discuss it, in light of the fact that we've got some important meetings within 6 days, I feel like that same logic would hold for this motion. Again, it does, like Cynthia said, it does not mean that I would not support it down the road. I just think that there's so much, at least I believe there's more to come in the next few days that I think hopefully will answer some questions, at least for me, and maybe provide some clarity that I've been seeking with respect to the direction of this organization. So with that, and with all due respect, I'm going to I'm speaking against it. Thank you.
Okay, let's see I think,
Can I amend it?
well, I'm trying to remember the order in which people were wanting to speak. What did you say? I think Amit, you were first.
Thank you. If we could clarify, please, what we mean by per the co-applicant agreement. I think that's a bit of a lofty statement to include in the motion.
So
And then you were next, right? Okay, go ahead.
I believe we have, as other board members probably have stated, we have not, as a board, discussed any future plans for renegotiations. So at this point, it should hold whatever we have agreed. So that is really the what I've implied by it.
Existing.
The existing. So it follows should be because we've never had a discussion around anything that involves the renegotiation of the co-applicant agreement as a full board.
So I said.
Okay, can I let someone else answer and then you can
Sure,
respond?
of course.
Okay, did you
So-
want, okay, and then
so-
we'll come back to you.
And thank you, Marab, but I did second you so that we could have discussion on it, just like for meat, but I really am of the same opinion. That's one of the reasons I said what I said. We as a board have not had that full discussion. And when we started talking about, initially, when we first walked in and started this conversation 2.5 hours ago, it was because we wanted clarification as to what one person had interpreted, what we had acted on, the resolution that we had made, had a different interpretation of what we thought we had said. And that's what we were trying to do, was clarify the resolution, okay, the motion that had been made and the direction, I think, to Dr. Lee and to Ann and to Cynthia. And so in that respect, that's all I was wanting to do, maintain the status quo right now, but with the clarification that what we are only talking about is getting us through another week while we have our board discussions and have further idea of vision, shared and ideas as to where we want to go with the other issues that we discussed in executive session.
Okay, did you have more that you want, wait,
I'm sorry, everything that I have heard right now, I'm going to withdraw this motion.
okay,
And I also, as I'm withdrawing, I would want us in public to offer clear guidelines and clarification on our original motion that we had. I think that would help us move forward if, so I am withdrawing this, but my ask is that we offer in public clear understanding of that original motion. Thank you.
okay. So the motion is off the table. As to your second clarification on the original motion, the original statement, I'm not sure how to get there on that. I think that one of the points there were like two areas that I thought there was some question about clarification of the original one. The first one was, and then Dr. Lee, you may have something you want to say about clarification, but it says, the difference of opinion was whether or not, if I'm remembering correctly, was whether or not the chair and vice chair could participate in the meetings, in the mediation meetings. And the term participate, there was some difference of opinion on what participation meant. And the question really was, if there's a term to be presented in the mediation, and there's a disagreement on whether or not that term should be presented, are we saying that Dr. Lee makes the judgment call there to make that decision or not? And I'm not sure if we have, that's, to me, that's the question. Is that what you're asking? Wait, let me ask her, is that what you're asking?
Yes, there needs to be clarification and clear understanding our intent of that motion.
Okay, all right, so that's the question I have as someone who participated, and that's what I need some guidance on, and I think Dr. Lee does also. So, Dr. Martin?
If I may, I think as described by counsel, what happened with participation was far out of line. That's not the CEO removed, not discussed with. And once again, this whole, we've been here for hours, is do we delegate authority to him or do we have two chiefs in the room? And I think that issue's been addressed by the board.
Okay, Dr. Martin, I have to speak to that because you just accused me of certain activity that was far out of line, that is not something that I engage in. You could at least say that there's a difference of understanding. As I said before, I did not, and neither did Dr. Brinson or Lisa May, participate in any negotiation or put out a document that was a negotiation document. So if you'd like to be more precise in what you're concerned about.
First off, no offense meant whatsoever. We heard from legal what happened. We heard from Dr. Lee what has happened, his complete sidelining in this issue. He is our CEO. That's what legal told us. It's what Dr. Lee told us. I'm not.
Manager Martin, we should curtail our discussions of what happened in closed session.
I don't.
Sorry.
You use the term complete sidelining. I don't recall our attorneys using the term complete
Chair
sidelining.
Kitchen, same admonition. Sorry.
Well, I agree, but if you're going to accuse us of certain activity, you need to be more precise about what you're accusing us
Point
of.
of order.
Valdez.
I would suggest. Thank you, Dr. Martin. End the conversation. We have a meeting Wednesday. We have a meeting Saturday, and I appreciate everybody's concerns and but at least we're all talking about it. Whether we agree or not, this is what I want, and this is what I was thinking, and I appreciate Ron for bringing that up. Thank you.
Okay.
So can I call the question?
Well, there's
Just a
no
Lisa and
vote
that's
on the
it.
table.
Okay. There's
Yeah,
nothing.
but let Lisa did. and
My
if you want to say
question was only gonna be, who was the maker of that original motion back in the day?
Ahmed was the maker of the original motion.
Okay.
I don't remember who seconded it.
Right. I mean, if
You're talking about back previously.
Yes, well, yes, the motion that is now currently under dispute.
Well, it's not under
Not a motion.
dispute. The motion stands, it's not under dispute.
Right.
And if we need clarification on it, I don't think we're getting there right now. I think that we should just set this all aside. At this point in time, at this point in time, I think we need to adjourn. I think what we've said is that Dr. Lee's going to lead the negotiation. And what I said when I started this was that I didn't hear the board saying that, but at this point in time, if that's what we want to say, we'll say that Dr. Lee leads the negotiation until such time as we have an opportunity to discuss and talk about it otherwise. So I'm going to take a motion to adjourn. Go ahead. Do you want to say something first?
I just really quick, I just wanted to clarification. You're talking about negotiation.
Yeah.
I thought it would revert back to the existing, the November
That's what
resolution.
the November one is the one that we have a difference of opinion on what this language says.
So it doesn't fall back to that even though there is
No, this
disagreement?
stays.
Okay.
This stays.
So-
I'm just responding to.
So it's negotiation, not renegotiation. Just
It's
want to make.
negotiation.
Okay, thank
It's
you.
negotiation. The language right here says, board delegates to the Central Health CEO the authority to negotiate with the Board of Community Care. So,
regarding the motion itself, I would be happy to explain like sort of the framer's intent there, but
That's not
I don't think
helpful.
I don't think it's fair or appropriate for me to do that in open session because the context of that was a collective context, and so I think it would be a very unilateral point of view for me to do that. Thank you, Chair.
okay, do I have a motion to adjourn?
You already did.
A motion from
Valadez.
Manager Valadez.
Aye.